right, and we are back again. What's up, everybody? I'm your man, King A.D.S. First and foremost, I'm a music guy here in sunny Southern California. I shouldn't say sunny right now. It's kind of cloudy and a little bit of weather going through, but I'm sure the sun will peek through again eventually in California fashion. But nevertheless, just off top, just want to say Happy New Year and welcome to another cycle, as some would say, the man-made cycle. And then, we'll have the actual start of the year in the spring when everything actually comes back to life and stuff like that. I've actually mentioned that in some lyrics of mine in certain songs and things like that as well. But nevertheless, just want to send out those good vibes to everybody to get things kicked off in the right way. It seems like it's a different shift in the air. I hope everyone had a great celebration time with friends, family, whichever way that you like to spend it. And I guess there's a few things I'd like to get into. Of course, if you do tune in with me, you know that I just get up here to be a genuine and authentic and try my best to connect with everybody. And you know what I'm saying, and get a little bit better at doing this kind of stuff as well, doing the vlogs and making content and things like that. But and I always try to cover something that'll be either weird, fascinating, or informative, or fun, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I just try to hit things at different angles, but most of the time try to keep it somewhat interesting or different, in a different tone or direction from the norm and stuff like that, and try to get an angle on it. You know what I'm saying? And touch on it a little bit. So I hope you enjoy the content. If you're here and you are checking out the video and seeing me for the first time, definitely check out all my content here. Check out the music, check out all the vlogs and the A.D.S talks playlist, so on and so forth, and come along for the ride. Subscribe. I hope that you enjoy this. And off top, of course, let's just get into it. I think everybody's been talking about it. Just going to touch on this for a little bit. I'm not going to go too in depth, like I say, because that's not really the focus of my channel, to do reviews. But I did kind of enjoy getting into the tone of everything this time around. So maybe I will start using more movies and things like that in some of my content. You know what I mean? Like as far as some of the stuff that I'll speak on or touch on or something like that. Because that has been kind of fun to try to find a creative way to incorporate that into a message or something like that. So, but Stranger Things season 5 finale. Not much that I would need to say that hasn't been said by so many people already. Was it a good story? Yes. Was it entertaining? Yes. Um, Aesthetically pleasing sound and visuals? Yes. Um, Stuff like that, nostalgia? Yes. Um, was it too safe? Yes. A lot of people brought up some of the same things that I felt. The battles with the mind flayer or whatever that creature was, and even Henry Creel or Vecna or whatever, all that stuff was over so fast. So if you haven't seen it, definitely skip this part of the video, though. I should have said that first. But yeah, if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, skip this part of the video. But some of the ways that things went down was just kind of weak. And like for instance, there were no monsters anywhere in what they called the upside down or the bridge. There's no creatures on planet X or wherever that was, dimension X. I felt like that was a bit strange. I feel it was a bit over ambitious in some ways, and riddled with influence, maybe from the people creating the budget for the show, something like that, to that nature. I can't be for certain, but it definitely has that feeling, as it went from something that constantly put people in harm's way and peril and actually seemed like it would have some stakes, but as people said, so much plot armor that the characters were safe all the time. And that is hard not to notice. So especially in something like this, where it seems like everything's pedal to the metal, you know what I mean, all the way through, redlining, and then it's just everybody's safe and they skip along hand in hand. Even people could have gotten at least injured or something, but everyone was really, really, really safe, and that was kind of kind of a letdown. It's like, but nevertheless, overall, as a story, yes, very interesting, very entertaining and fun. but it did seem to kind of, like some people said, like a bait and switch, and that's what I felt too. It's kind of like you feel like you got hustled a little bit, and that doesn't sit well with people. They don't like getting fleeced. So people are voicing their opinions and sentiments, but nevertheless, everyone did do their jobs to get all that work done. And so that's crazy, the amount of work that they had to do. But some of the stuff, yeah, I have to agree with people. It didn't quite deliver the way that people thought. And some of the things that I said did come to fruition, but just not in the way that I thought it would. I thought it would be a little bit more hardcore. But I did say that it seems like everything they were going to figure out would work, but then it would kind of like fall apart. But then I said people would start dying, but it wasn't the people that I thought would start biting it. It was like all the extras and stuff like that. Like nothing impactful. Same with Kali's death. Nothing impactful. You know what I mean? And then what was another one? Um, oh, that Elle would like disintegrate possibly, right? Like she would vanish, right? And you would never know if she was really in existence anymore or somewhere else or something like that. And she would peek through the fabric of our reality every once in a while with light flickers, or you'd hear a voice off it through a speaker or something eerie like that. So you can't really tell or be sure, but like she's somewhere else possibly, and always trying to connect or check in on them or something, just to let them know that she's watching or something. You know what I mean? Something kind of cool like that. But instead, it was like, she maybe escaped, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. So that just kind of leaves you up in the air. So it's similar, you know what I'm saying? So it's similar. So not too bad, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, the way it was done, how easily the main forces of what was supposed to be like the threat was eliminated was kind of a joke, you know what I'm saying? Like for instance, like Vecna just went against all the military and all kinds. They couldn't do jack shit. But then this this kid that has similar powers and a bunch of other young adults can just come up in there and take them out no problem. And just, I don't know, it was just strange. But that was the strangest things of Stranger Things. And but anyway, but that's enough on that. But overall, still, like other people said too, I agree. I enjoyed the nostalgia, the visual aesthetic, the concept of it, the characters, the build ups. I could do with a little less emotional stuff. I feel like it drags on and sometimes also takes away from story plots and things like that. But nevertheless, still, yeah, overall, a good series. You know what I'm saying? It's fun. It went from being something that was taking kids and putting them in danger and having more of an adult language and things like that, like which would shift it into a whole other level. But then, towards like the type of adult content that could be, like with the people dying in the show and stuff like that. And then switches it at the end towards something that's like more family friendly and kind of nerfed in a way. And that makes me wonder how much the whole situation was nerfed. It's really strange, but I guess it's strange again. There we go. But yeah. But anyway, we're gonna shift gears and we're gonna go through the wormhole. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go through a wormhole right now. It ain't the upside down. It's a wormhole. We're gonna go through a wormhole, and then someone's like, "Is it a hole for worms?" And then another dude's over in the back like, "Yes." Nah, I'm playing. Anyway, man, let's get into it. So, man, we're in 2026 now, and I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit of stuff that I find interesting. I think every year starts, and I kind of do the supreme mathematics the way that it was taught to me, and that I feel like other people have done that similarly. And so yeah, so today I believe equals a three. You know what I'm saying? And that can be done by adding as January is the first month of the year, first day of the year, right? So we have two right there. One plus one is two, and then we have the add up of two, zero, and two and six, and that all together would be a 10. And one plus zero is one, so one, one, one. You got yourself a nice big fat three right there. And that, the way I learned it, would be understanding. And so it seems like we'd be coming into a time, or what it would suggest, let's just, I find it interesting, is that it would be a time of understanding. And I think that kind of makes sense. I feel like that's on the pulse. I always find this stuff to be very strange how it could work out sometimes, or maybe it's the way it can be perceived. But I think that possibly a lot of us could see it that way this time around, because, yeah, I think people have seen the divisiveness, they've seen the destructiveness, they've seen all these things that they wondered about. They've also seen some of the progress, but they've seen the greed, right? They've seen a lot of things now, and it took a while. Had the ability to learn at first, then gain the knowledge and put a lot of time in, and got a chance to deal with the mechanisms that influence the structure of the system that we're in and everything. And so over time, that develops a sort of wisdom as people bring children and generations of people up through this world, and try to give them or advise them to have the best life or path possible. And a lot of questions arise, and a lot of answers come from those questions being arisen. So then that builds an overall wisdom, which is like an understanding. So yeah, so I can definitely see and resonate with that a little bit. I don't know if you guys can, but if you can, definitely, smash that like button right now, because I think that that is kind of right on the money. And I've been hearing all these people. I've been interested to find out what's going on out there with some of the conscious or positive people and things like that. And because I was feeling a certain way too, and so I was hearing the stuff that they were coming up with, which and the reports and things like that, which I also found interesting. Because, like, as I was saying in other videos, it feels like a shift is coming. A lot of people have been talking about a shift. I said it felt like we were getting poked in the chest to change, that we need to grow up quick. It feels like the training wheels are coming off. And so there's going to be some things we need to do, like draw into ourselves, so that interconnectivity, bone up on some skills, use the skills we have better to serve our purposes, or find more purpose to build skills that will do better for us, and stop supporting things that don't give us benefit as a human race, right? Or to your own existence, maybe could act in a counter into detriment to all your progress, happiness, and health, and things like that. And so I felt that was very, very strange. It gave me an insight, very interesting. What else is interesting out here in 2026 already? um, I think that, okay, this is what I wrote down here. I got some notes here, you guys, you bear with me. But I also wrote down, like, yeah, with those realizations, and people, like, unfortunately, like, losing so much or being isolated, things like that, which forces that off balance type of position, to where it will force a person to adapt, learn. It's like a sink or swim kind of deal, but most of the time we will adapt, and we will learn and shift. I'm back. I had to erase some files. I was running out of space, and I feel kind of bad because I feel like I was getting on sort of a roll here. But I just want to continue on here. Where I left off was, we'll be forced into some sort of an adaptive state, or either like a sink or swim, which in some ways I think, because people were talking about time perception too, like time is speeding up or slowing down or something like that. And I definitely believe it's more about the perception of the time and how it could be used and harnessed and things like that, more or less. And so perhaps, like, all the isolation and the off balance moments that force people into that isolation, which forces them into an internal focus, which will bring them into tasks that they have to do, and that will be like a really strong focus into those things, which will push them into what some others have referenced as a flow state, kind of when the left and right brain becomes stimulated, and then in that, it seems like you warp the perception of time, or maybe even possibly do warp time, as it seems like you might fit more into a moment, maybe thinking at the speed of time itself, or something to that nature. Or you get that kind of feeling, to either that you maybe, like, they might feel like time moves slower around them, but maybe they're doing more in that moment, or more precise in that moment, or things of that nature. But I thought I would touch on that because I thought that was interesting. So perhaps like maybe what it is that people are getting pushed into flow state. Man, this camera angle is a little funky now. I put the thing back up there and it's not quite the same as it was before. So I apologize for that. It looks like my chin is cut off now. But also another thing that I thought could be kind of funky too, that would mess with people's perception of time and how much they can do, is maybe because of the advancements in technology. People touched on that too, and I was like, yeah, that would make sense because maybe you can get to things so much quicker or have more time on your hands to pursue other goals, learning things, or getting into the tasks that you have and goals that you have set for yourself, allowing you to like tap into that flow state again. You know what I mean? And now maybe consciously, who knows? Maybe consciously, collectively, all of more people going into flow state affects the fabric of time around them too. Who knows? And maybe that's why people as a whole are like, maybe time is speeding up. Maybe time is slowing down. We do know about the natural warble of the earth, though, not to forget that always happens as our axis kind of shifts back and forth. We kind of have a wobble as we spin. It's not just like a constant static, in place spin. It's a kind of a wobble and a spin, like a top, wobbles a little bit, but holds its axis, while it has momentum. So it's kind of like that with the magnetic poles, it kind of acts the same in that sense. From my understanding, anyway, I'm not the whole expert. I wouldn't be out here trying to say, like, and that's final because I don't have a degree in that. And so I wouldn't say, but I think if this thing between my ears is working, it's something like that. So, and then also, what do I got here, man? What do I got here? I think that's it. Those things I found to be interesting. So in the coming up, days of this year, and in time to come, who else knows? But yeah, a lot of changes and a lot of people driven into new places or old familiar places. I know that some of these things will be a revisitation for some, and some will be walking through those doors of the know thyself and even more for the first time, which there's no better time than now, right? So no matter what, we are all connected and need to get the message if we want to keep living on this beautiful planet that we call the earth, spinning around in the thing we call space, in the vast universe as a speck of dust that seems to still be here. So if we would still want that, I suppose that we would have to learn a few new tricks and things like that. So maybe it's time. The human 3.0, right, is on the way. They say that we're going to have a lot of solar storms and stuff too. So who knows? Maybe that brings, like in the sci-fi movies and other things that have been said, and even in real science too, talking about panspermia and other stuff and other rays and gamma rays and stuff might influence the atmosphere. And who knows, maybe someone will be levitating and speaking to you through the mind, like in the Montauk and like in Stranger Things soon. Who knows? We just along for the ride, and we're gonna have the best time we can together. If you're enjoying the content, by the way, definitely smash that like button. Come along, hype the video, share it with friends. Please comment, add some insight to the topic at hand, or a little something that you found interesting about something I touched on in here. Always love to have that input and interactivity with you guys. And so for 2026, I don't know if you guys have any goals. As for me, the goals will probably be somewhat of a continuation of things, but just to make sure I stick the landings as much as possible, as the Duffers and Stranger Things attempted to do. And sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, as Craig's dad said in Friday. And that's how we go and keep it. Sometimes you got to fight dirty with a brick. But so, you know, I'll probably this year try to revisit as much information as I can, keep myself grounded and intellectually focused and in tune. Um, but I got the stuff written down. Keep taking it one thing at a time, one day at a time. So not trying to conquer the world in one day at a time, one process at a time, one foot in front of the other. Make it a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Try to just make it into a groove. Trying to get back into workout regimen a little bit more. I know that so many people out there are the same. No matter what, you just try to keep up with the pace of everything. So while working on the inner, try to balance it with the outer so I can have the energy in this body, the cell here, to keep up with what I got to get done. and let's see, get back in touch with some inner strength. I kind of forementioned that just a second ago, but yeah, get maybe try to get into some meditation this year or something like that. You know what I mean? Try to do something like that. Um, let's see. And not hesitate as much. That's why I'm doing this video today to on not because I made a resolution, but because that's something already that I've been trying to get better at all the time is more consistency and following through, even no matter how nervous I am of how it'll go or anything, just to go for it. And so, and I'm not saying that's across the board for everything, but especially when it comes to doing stuff like this. So yeah, so I'm here right now in the steps on that path right now, actually, not hesitating as much. I'm going to do this video and put it up today on the first, you know what I'm saying? And just to connect more, you know what I'm saying? Because everything gets crazy, everything gets hectic. So I'm hoping that I can work, and not hoping, but I will work hard enough and get things done to the point where I can, be more present. I would love to. I just want to connect more on a regular basis, whether it's here or in the real world, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just so because it got to extend that love. It got to be that source. If you want to see the change, got to be the change kind of thing. You know what I mean? So try to live in that light. But anyway, that was it, man. That's the first video of the year, first vlog, first topic video of the year. I hope you found it somewhat interesting. Hope my gibberish helped make the day a little bit brighter. Hope you enjoy hanging with me, and always you are welcome. I always love to have amazing people like yourself come along for the journey, friends, family, and everybody that's out there. Much love, and I hope you have an amazing year. It's going to be a lot of changes. Be aware, and we got this, man. All right, till the next one. Peace.